Uh, well, during that time, the war was really hot. They're trying to save Berlin. We got so far and they stopped us from going. We didn't get to Berlin. We got so far from Berlin, and that's when the Russians were really slaughtering the Germans. They didn't take no prisoners, just slaughter. During that time, we had a message. Uh, we had a message that this was in December 1944. The German wouldn't take no black prisoners, and my officers ordered us to destroy all our diary and identification. All we had on was the dog tags. You're supposed to give your name and serial number. All you're supposed to give them. So I had a diary from day one. I left Loudon, and I had to destroy all that. I
Oh,
had it
I'm
wrote down.
sorry about that.
I had everything, time and dates and everything. We had to destroy all that. He said, they said they weren't taking no prisoners, no black prisoners. And there we were, only a handful of us. Then we got pinned down in Belgium, Antwerp. The only people who were back there were my company. They had this Texas division, I think 36th Division out of
Mm-hmm.
Texas. Uh, it was the Sigma Corps outfit was back there where we were. We stayed there back there together about 2 weeks together. So we had to share our food together because we didn't have no food and we didn't have nothing. We shared what we had together. And they had a radio outfit, and we could find out where the Germans were. So the paratrooper dropped. The German one just a few miles from us. Only thing sailed, they dropped it. The 101 dropped their paratrooper in there and cleaned that pocket out, and that's the only thing that saved us because we were supposed to have been dead. Sure it is. The 36th Division. I got autograph from this guy from Texas, white guy, and he's a very Christian-like guy. He was old. He was old at that time. He's 36 division, 36-year-old. You're old then when you're 36 division, 36-year-old. And he's been like showed his children and everything. And we got when they come back on this side, we wrote each other, saying Christmas cards, all like that. Then later, about 4 or 5 years later, I got a message from his wife that he passed on too. Yeah. So often you get that, and then we had good relationship among ourselves, among our white friends. But as a whole, the army was the cause of the whole thing. The United States government. It wasn't the men. If they passed a law that said all men be treated right, alike, it'd been okay. But when we would go on liberty, Eisenhower and Patton said everything. They made it. Everything would be treated. We all be treated the same under those two men. Because Ike was a supreme commander at that time. So we went to Paris on liberty. Everything was wide open for us, and we dropped back in Germany. Occupied Germany. We didn't have no problem. But sometime we had. I back up a little bit. In England, I'll never forget. We in Manchester, we were in England. They had a dance one night, and they said servicemen come. So we went down there. This big, something like the Coliseum, and they told the British man in charge that no, they call us no black Yanks can come in. And that big thing. There we are, about 200 men. I said, what? We'll had invasion, false run for a long time before we know you're going to go overseas. in Enos Channel there. So this guy from Chicago come back and said, well, and I also told us, and I'll tell you what, learn to protect yourself. Don't go nowhere unless it's 3 or 4 of you, because that's the way it is. So we went down there, and we had one of the turbulent fights you ever saw. But that on the way, they broke it up.
You mean around near the Coliseum there? Or?
Yes, in the Coliseum. We went in there, and MP kind of, we ran because we didn't get put in the socket, so we went on back to our outfit. We scattered out. But we got revenge, though. That's the outfit I wouldn't see. It was I don't know where they're from, but they didn't do us right.
So there were times when you didn't experience a lot of prejudice, and then there were other times when there was
yes.
a lot of it.
Right. The worst prejudice I ever experienced was in Spartanburg, South Carolina. First, it started from when I left here, went to Fort Overthorpe. We stayed in Fort Overthorpe just about 24 hours, and we got the train the next day. We headed for Fort Bragg, North Carolina. On the way to Fort Bragg, we stopped in a little town called Florence, South Carolina, and they had a troop train in those days. We had 2 cars. We were up front next to the engine. Had 2 cars for black soldiers, and the rest of them were white. We pulled in this railroad station. That around the railroad station, they had a great big dining area, and MPs told us we couldn't get off the train. There we sit, and been sworn in the army. When I was off the train, and we were hungry, and the whites went inside, or served, and came out. And they did bring a box lunch. See, the army paid for it, paid for all our lunches. They came out with boxes and threw it at us like dogs. You understood it? Threw the box lunches at us. That's right. Then we went to Fort Bragg. We stayed in Fort Bragg about 3 or 4 days.
You must have had some questions about fighting to defend the country.
Yes, I wonder why. I said, I looked at here. I said, here I now left my home, and this. I said, they don't. The army actually protect us, and this is some of the experience I had in the States. And we went to Fort Bragg, left there, and went to Spartanburg, South Carolina, new camp, just brand new camp. They just built it, and we had to go and they had no sidewalk. We had to build duck boards to go from barrack to barrack. That's what we had to do, all the whole camp. That's our duty. And train too. You have to train, you do that. We had to furnish beef. We had some men going to the refrigerated cars carrying beef to all the companies on the, had 33,000 men on the post. Carried food and stuff into all the mess halls. We did that all right. We go to town in Spartanburg. You couldn't, they had I think 1 or 2 black buses. Just a school bus, all it was. And the government had regular camp buses, but all we could ride the back. And all them soldiers. So we had around 3,000. We had over 3,000, 10% then. Mm-hmm. About 3,000 servicemen on that camp. We go to town. The police in Spartanburg were brutish. One guy was in my outfit. He went down to this diner, got him a hamburger. He's from Pennsylvania. He thought he had the uniform. He went there and got a hamburger and a milkshake. The girl, she served him. There were civilians in there. And when he walked out, they had attacked that boy, young boy. They beat that boy, kicked him, and broke his ribs. And they didn't care, and the police came, and they carried that boy to jail. They didn't carry him to the hospital. Only time he got in the hospital when he came back, when they came out to camp, they brought him out there and turned him over to his officer, and so they carried him to the hospital. When he got well, they court-martialed him and said he was disturbing the peace. Can you imagine?
It's hard to believe, but I believe it.
Yes. So, we had it rough, but we survived. I don't know how we done it, but we survived. And what hurt me so bad, before I left Spartanburg, they had a lot of German prison wars came to our camp. They worked in the kitchen, they worked in the only thing they wanted to do. The German prison wars would go to the main post exchange. They would serve them food. We couldn't sit down. They had MP at the door to keep us out. We go up there and say, you got one down there. They had, that's the way it was. And the way we were segregated by companies is quartermaster number 1, quartermaster number 2. That's the way it was. So,
Did that continue through the years that you were in the service, in England and in Europe too?
Yes, it did. Always meet that stuff. I was in Paris on Liberty, and we was in this hotel. The Army had a whole hotel for all servicemen. So we were on Liberty, went there, and this officer is a lieutenant. Walked up and cussed us. You wouldn't be over here with these white girls, dancing these white girls. You was in Alabama, Mississippi. I said, why bring that up? I said, we trying to save this country. There's no issue. So I got a family back home I'm trying to protect. He just kept saying, don't you get smart, I'm a lieutenant. I said, I'm a sergeant. I know my rights. Oh, he tried to say something, and that captain finally took him on off. He was just plain, drunk, and ignorant. That's what we had to do. A lieutenant. They say he was field commission, he didn't have too much upstairs. So that's what happened in Paris, France.
Did you see very many black officers?
Yes, well, I never did serve on the black officer. They had black division. They had in Italy they had 92nd Pursuit Squadron, one of the best air force over there. The Germans feared them more than anybody. They fought all over North Africa. Then they had the 92nd Infantry Division. They fought in North Africa. Then they had the 93rd Division that fought in South Pacific. And Lieutenant Byington, you probably saw that picture, he died.
Just yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Now, he used to be a hero. So, those guys, they had the education, but a lot of times I could went to the OCS school. We had one guy, he finished Miles College, and he put him for OCS. This guy said, Captain, I got a boy here. He never man. Said, you got a boy here. Said, he's smart for the colored man. That's what he said. He said, well, I'll be damned. He's lame. Then and the kid, this lieutenant, he didn't have too much education himself. But this is what you had to face. I don't care how qualified you were. We had another guy working in the headquarters. He could do over 100 words a minute in typing. Two of them could. He could sit here and just type like that and hold a conversation with you. Make a mistake, he'd back up and never look at his hand. They were genius. And they worked in, and he went to OCS. And his name was Akram, he's from New York. That boy was smart. He finished Columbia University. Anyway, he was a good person. He's married, quiet. He just wanted to be an officer. He went to OCS, and when he graduated, he came by to see me. I trained him, and he left and went to Fort Huachuca, Arizona. That's where he made up 93rd Division out there. And he went overseas, and he wrote me a letter. And we used to write each other. And the last letter I wrote, he came back. Later on, I know he died. I got on his side that he got killed in Italy. Then I had another guy that I worked in the office with, Hunter. I was the best man at his wedding. And I know he died until I got back on this side. And the only way I found out, a lot of these men, I wrote to St. Louis. And they had a place where you write and find out. All you need is a serial number. You pay it, I think, $3. And they put it on the computer and they can tell you who's dead or where they are. So I found out where my lieutenant Spruill was. My first sergeant was in Washington. Hunter got killed in Korea. So he re-enlisted and he joined. He was going for 20 years. He got killed in Korea. He was smart. He finished Atlanta University. But we had men to do anything. We had one guy was in ordnance. He finished A&T College out of North Carolina. His name was Flagg. Flagg, yeah. And he was an ordnance man. He'd do anything in ordnance. And we got separated. I didn't find out what happened to him either. We got separated when I went to Illinois. We always running in a lot of problems. But the worst problem I ever had was before I went overseas, I went to Camp Shanks, New York. They gave me liberty. That run out. They gave me liberty to a place to come home, so I got on the bus there. At the bus station, we would ride a bus in those days. I caught the bus in New York, so I ate breakfast in New York at the station. I got to Wilmington, Delaware. This big old guy came in there on what he was. I was on the black on the bus, and he said, "You don't get off this bus here." That's Wilmington, Delaware. There we had to go to the bathroom. Those days they had no bathroom in the bus. I mean, I'd go to the bathroom. I said, "I just want to go to the bathroom." I use the bathroom. "You don't get off this bus." Threatened. It's okay. Sat on the bus. There's a white guy was sitting up there, and he came back. He had drank my Coke. I said, "Will you do me a favor?" They won't let me off the bus. I said, "Will you let me use that cup? I'm going to have to use it." When the bus got rolling, I got on my knees, got on the floor, and used it to relieve myself, and threw out the window. About the bus, what could I do? And there I was, coming home to see my dad and mother. my daddy, my mother's dead. Come home to see my daddy. And got in Washington, D.C. at the Greyhound bus station in Washington. And I went in there. I said, well, I'm a nation captain now. I'm okay. I went in there and I sat on the stool, tried to order a hamburger. I know the girl kept passing me by and ordering it to everybody else. Sailors and all in there was servicemen. And this bus boy, this black guy behind the counter, he said, hey, sorry, can I see you a minute? Yeah. He said, they don't serve colored here. See, you got to go across the street over there because they don't serve colored here. I said, the nation captain don't serve colored? No. You got to be. He said, you go back in there and sit. They had segregation restroom. I mean, the waiting room. And I straight go over there because, I'm there, you know, like rough places. So I sat there. I didn't have nothing to eat. I sat there and tears came in my eye. I'm a grown man, and it hurt me so bad I cried. The bus started rolling. So only way I got anything to eat, I got stopped down in Virginia. The bus stopped at some place down there. We got some fresh fruit. I ate some fruit. So I got to Knoxville. When I got to Knoxville, they had a place you could just get food. You just stick it through the window. You know, you couldn't go and sit down. You just sit and eat in your hand. Then I called my dad to my home, and I said I can't get the bus in the morning, so I went to my cousin, spent the night. Caught the bus the next morning, came home. He died. I didn't tell him what happened to him because he worried him. It would worry him. I just couldn't believe it.
Be humiliated like that
No.
in uniform, you were a soldier.
Yeah. And I was staff sergeant. It didn't mean nothing to him. Threatened, because they had everything. So this, I don't know what happened to that guy. The guy that just felt like he just wanted to just jump on me for nothing. I hadn't done anything. I wasn't drinking. And this white guy said, Mac, he called him Mac. You mean that they do this? Let's go and drink. I said, no. Y'all get in no trouble. I said, let's don't do that. He shook his head. He couldn't believe it. He said, I can't believe it. For what? I said, I don't know. You know how long it takes to go from Delaware to Washington, you know, about 3 or 4 hours. I was still hungry, you know. Couldn't get a thing. There I sit.
Now your son's in the Air Force? You said he was in Alaska?
He's in the Air Force. He's in Alaska.
Things have changed some for him in the military.
It's changed a lot. Now my son he didn't want to go to college, but we sent him to school in Florida to Bell and Howell had a school there, learn how to be work on computers, something like that, you know, like taking air controllers, something like that. He took that course. Then if he got back, he couldn't find a job. They found him a job. That's a rip-off. He come back, then he went to Drons College up there. Like in about a few hours getting his degree in that. Then he's on the Air Force. And he's in missiles now. He's doing all right. I just can't understand.
Did you have any feeling when you came back that there needed to be a kind of a civil rights movement that?
Oh yes. I thought it would be better. I mean, you'd be surprised how many white people were on our side. They see things as wrong. They say, well, it's not right.
In the Army, you mean?
No, here in this town.
I see.
Yeah, he said, you know, like, for instance, when they asked me to come join the Legion, the American Legion, the VFW, he said, Homer, those people that did that to you, most of them are dead and in hell, he said. But the thing about it, give us a chance. And then we just like brothers right here now. they need me. If I need them, they do anything world for you. Of all faiths, we got Ivo Sanders. He used to be the commander of the whole state when he was. See, he's a lawyer, attorney general, and he belongs to it. And, all phases, people here that, you know, a lot of them getting older now. They don't attend like they used to.
You didn't, from the sound of it, you wouldn't have even thought about making the military a career?
I wanted to, yes. I'm glad you brought that up. When I got out, see, I was a staff sergeant. Well, it was T. It was staff sergeant with a T in those days, technician. When I got out, why, they gave me an offer when I landed in Indianapolis, Indiana, this Camp Atterbury, Indiana. They said, well, you got 90 days. If you want to come in there, you make a career out of that. And I came back and I said, well, when I came home, my daddy was in poor health. I said, I better not do that. So that's the only reason. Then I said, I better go and join the National Guard. I went up there and they run me out. We didn't take niggas in the National Guard. They wouldn't let me join. Sure didn't. I couldn't join. If I joined the National Guard, see, and I got 62, I could draw the pension. See, a lot of these guys, they joined the National Guard. They draw the pension. They're drawing the pension right now. So I couldn't do that. So
They wouldn't let any black people in there?
no. Only time they got in there in 1964, 65, when that movement came. And my son joined the National Guard. He stayed there about 4 years, and he in the Air Force now. He's got about 6, 7 years in there altogether. But I didn't teach him. I don't believe it. I didn't teach him to say no. This is your country, defend it. Because God got a time for all this to come to a head. So this is the only way to do it. So I feel great about it. I felt like I'd done something. I walked the street and I said, well, I'll serve my country. I was a man, proud of my man. I don't think I don't fault the people. I fault the United States government. They can stop it all. So this foolish. We were servants for the country, and we should be treated as one. And they wouldn't put that division in there. It hurt. We had a guy from New Orleans. They were brothers. See, in New Orleans, they got a crossover of all races of people. His name Fernandez. They look just alike. One was black and one was white. See, they were full too, but that's those genes, you know. That's what it was. And a lot of people don't know nothing about that. Well, they say, he was illegitimate. No, he weren't illegitimate. That's what it was in those days. And they put him in the white company, put him in the black company. And the only time they have a chance to meet at the canteen, they sit there and talk and cry. Say they want to be together. They were one's in the F company, one's in the service company. They put the black one in the service company. And they sit there and talk, and they would cry.
No way out of that, not in 1943.
That's right. That's right. It's in 42 and 43. That's the way it was.
I was talking to a black guy a while ago, a fellow in Knoxville named Valentine, who was in the tank battalion.
Well, we used to belong to the club together.
Oh,
Melvin.
Yeah, Melvin.
Yes.
And we were talking about for the black soldier, there were 2 battles that you had to fight all the time.
All the time.
One against the enemy and one against prejudice and racism.
It was. It's I have to go to the bathroom right quick. You have to go back in?
Um, This is taking us right now into 45. The landings on Lakey were successful. MacArthur's troops move up into Luzon a month or so. But if we're going to continue the advance on Japan, and the what I usually do to start off is just try to learn something about the person's background before they went in service. You said you were born here, and
Yeah, I was born in Loudon, Tennessee, November 11th, 1917.
that's a big year too.
It was. I kept my daddy out of the army.
And born in Loudon.
And we had no high school in Loudon, so the reason I finished high school late because I had to lay out of high school 3 years before I could go back to school. I went to school in Athens, Tennessee. And we had no buses, so we had to go down there and stay in a private home and do our own cooking to finish high school, pay tuition. County didn't give us one dime, so I determined to get my education, so I went down there. I stayed there. I finished in 4 years. And Professor Nash, who's principal of the high school, which is still living, he's 100-year-old this past July 11th. We celebrated his birthday July 11th this year. And he took me in his arms as I was his son, and he said, well, I'll get you a job. So I got a job with some good white friends. I stayed with them for about 3 years. And they treat me like I was their son. He stressed education and saving you money. That's what he was an insurance executive. So a man named Mr. Paul and Mrs. Paul. So after I finished high school, I went to New Jersey and worked a place called Green Pond, New Jersey. So they get the black kids to go up there and work, serve tables, and do the stuff, just work like that around the house.
Is it a kind of resort?
It's a resort. It's a resort. People there from New York and all the millionaires go there, and we go there and work all summer to save enough money to go to college. So I couldn't go to college, so I went ahead and joined the Army I signed up in 1940. I signed up for the Army in New Jersey. Then I told the person at the draft board I want to go home and see my dad. He was living at that time. I came home in November 1940. And April 21st, 1941, I joined the Army. They drafted me in the Army, took me in the Army. I stayed in the Army. I was in the Army 9 months when they bombed Pearl Harbor.
You remember where you were when you heard that?
Yes, I was in Greenville, South Carolina when the news came on. We were on Liberty. We went to Greenville, which is a movie in Greenville. And we went by bus. And in those days, we had to ride the last seat in the bus. When they bombed Pearl Harbor, we were in a theater, and it came out. They said, will you come to all servicemen report back to the base? So we had to drop what we were doing and go back to the base. And if you were late or anything, like you could get court-martialed. It was active war, man, There we were 30 miles from camp. Every time the bus came in there, the whites would go fill up the bus. We only had, that seat was about like this. It hold about 5, 6 people. Wasn't allowed to stand up. Then it done away for about, I say, ever since 3 or 4 hours. Every time a bus come in there, the bus came in there about 30 minutes. Camp bus. Finally, we got to the camp late, but lucky we didn't get court-martialed.
But you couldn't even
You can ride a full bus out there.
No, we had just had the camp buses. I don't care how many stories there. We had just 5 places to ride, and on the base you could ride standing up, going from place to place. But going to Greenville, they wanted you to stand up. So that's how it was. So we made it back. We had orders at night. We got back that we had to go retrain. We just finished our basic training. We had to go in 13 more weeks of basic training. Canceled all leaves. I couldn't come home. First time I've been away from home on Christmas was in 1941. I couldn't come. They canceled all leaves. We had to start doing training. 13 more weeks. Hard training, night and day. After we trained, we started letting so many go home. I got home, I think it was in February after Christmas. Stayed weeks furlough. Went back and we trained. I was on the cadre. I trained new recruits up until I'd say about a year. Then
You were training black recruits?
yes,
Yeah.
after everything was black then.
Mm-hmm.
After we trained them, then this first sergeant, he said, "Henley, did you finish high school?" I told him, "Yeah." So he said, "I want to see you." So I went to the office. He said, "I want you to be in charge of quarters." He said, "I want you to make out the sick report and morning report and answer the telephone call and give out passes to the men going on pass and check passes." He showed me what to do, so I did that. Then we had one officer. He was West Point, Washington D.C. He hated everything one military. He was strictly a GI. He's a West Pointer. He tried to make us do like West Pointers, stand up and talk to you like a dog and make you inattention, So we just couldn't hardly understand that man. That man just made our lives miserable. His name was Lieutenant Carley, and he was in reserve, and he hated to be back in the army. He said he hated to be back in the damn army. He made it harder on us. But he stayed with us about 6 months. And those days they trained us another man in there. Then we got another lieutenant. He was a lawyer in South Carolina. He was state solicitor in the state of South Carolina. And he came in there, and all that time, nobody got promoted. During that time, we had the promotion table there, but this man wouldn't promote nobody. Nobody. Just first sergeant. I don't think the cadre came there from Fort Benning, Georgia. The 24th Infantry Division. That's on the men that would head rank. Now we've been there almost a year, over a year, and we hadn't had no rank. Lieutenant Hines came there. He was commissioned second lieutenant when he went in service. He said, "Fellows, I don't know a thing about the military, so I'm drafted in here. I tell you, if you help me, I'll help you guys." He's a well-educated man, but he didn't know about the military. He had a little bit, but not much. He put us over that company. He watched everything we did. He watched it, and the first sergeant led him on. The first sergeant he was regular army, and we told him everything. And he said, "I want to promote every one of you guys." And he called everybody individual. Said, "What do you like to do?" And some of the guys will be warehousemen, or if you want to be a truck driver or anything like that, then he would give you promotion. He interviewed everybody. He got your car, how much you made, the store car, how much you made. Some guy made real low, where they couldn't make too much. But the guy had a high IQ. He tried to send him into OCS. He wanted progress. This man, he stayed with it until I went overseas. and he had a son and daughter, and he had owned a big farm out in Spartanburg, and he invited the whole company to come out there for a barbecue. That's the kind of guy he was.
That's
And-
real unusual.
Yes, that's in South Carolina too.
Mm-hmm.
He brought his son and his daughter. They're just about 7, 8 year old out there, and we had just adopted them as our little mascot. They
Uh-huh.
thought the world of us. And he had a picture made with us. He's the only officer who had the picture made with us. The rest of them refused to have the company pictures made. So I got in my file somewhere now. And when I finished that school in Georgia's quarters, he told me, Henley, how you like to go to a clerk school? I said, I'd like to. I never said, I said, I'd try to do the best I can. He said, well, I said, it's 6 weeks course. They got a short procedure how to learn how to type, make out Marine report, Army vouchers, officers vouchers, payrolls and all that. And if you finish it, I'll give you a job in the headquarters. I went to Atlanta University for 6 weeks. I took that course. I made good grade. I came back, and he sent me to the headquarters. In that headquarters, I had my company. We had 2 companies in our company. We had the service department, the quartermaster department, and I had a white company. And the 2 white companies. We were both from quartermaster. And I had an Italian boy. He was over his department, and we were in that same area there. We had about 8 or 10. I was over all of them in that personnel department. This Italian boy was next under me. I stayed in the headquarters there about 1941 up to 1943. I shipped out overseas. I shipped out from South Carolina to go to Illinois, prepared to go overseas. And I made T3. That was staff sergeant with a T in it. That was a specialist. And only 2 on the post. There was a white guy in finance had one, and I had one. That's how he wants everything that they had. He wants to have it too if he qualified for it. And we loved him for it. And when I shipped out, he come to me and all the men, the sugar hand person, and said, "What's this luck?" That's you never seen him out in the military. He was a leader. I left there and went to Camp Ellis, Illinois, a new company. And I met another guy. This officer I met, he was a captain. He got promoted to captain. He was the first lieutenant promoted to captain. And I went there with 4 other men, and I worked in the office there in his office. He was a German. He was in Minnesota. John L. Strucken. And I worked with there. I went overseas. We went through this training. Then when we went overseas, the WACs took over all the administrative work, so we had to go to the field. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They done all the administrative work, and all we did sometimes we might make a payroll out, something like that, just in the company. But as far as the other stuff, we always was in the field with a different. We Illinois with 3122nd Quartermaster Service Company, and we were attached to the 7th Army, the 3rd Army, the 9th Army. And anywhere they needed us, we had to go. What we did, we landed Omaha Beach 6 minus 20. When they 6 days, 6 was the day that we got there on the 20th of June of the invasion. We went from there.
Had you been in England first, or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We left here and went to Scotland. Yeah, when Queen Mary we left. Took us 5.5 days to cross. It was 5.5 days.
That's a fast crossing.
Yes, it was. And we landed in Glasgow, Scotland. We stayed in Glasgow about 4 or 5 days. Then we went to Gloucester, and then went to Wales. From Wales, we left Wales and went to Dorchester, England. Then they had a billet area outside of London. I forget the name of that place. There we stayed in British huts, brown huts. We stayed there we got there in March. We stayed there from March until June. I didn't know America had as much stuff in my life when I looked in that Martian area there. They had at least 100 miles square of equipment. It reached from Chattanooga to Knoxville, nothing but just Army stuff. Anything you can mention, they had it.
It really is amazing. I try to tell my kids about it in the
Yes.
World War II course, about what
Yes.
an incredible amount of stuff that we
They had stuff that you wouldn't believe. And
somebody had to handle it all. You know?
Yes,
Somebody
that's
had to
right.
account for it and move it and store it.
we done the moving, storage. The first bad place we went was near St. Louis. Americans got to St. Louis, had a lot of resistance there, and that's where a lot of men got killed. And those men would drive a truck from the Cherbourg, from the boat Cherbourg to St. Louis and back. They would carry food, ammunition, whatever they had to carry for the men. And they had, this other platoon was bringing dead bodies back from the front line. They used it for grave restoration. You can imagine what that do to you. You see dead men, we done that night and day. We had one platoon that would carry gasoline. That's that 100 proof gasoline they carry for airplane. They were carrying that to the front line and laid pipeline, and the engineers laid pipeline on top of the ground from Cherbourg, from the ship, all the way through Germany. And we had men guarding that pipeline, keep the Germans above that line. We couldn't have moved like we did. That's what we had to do. We did that. We lost a lot of men through air raids because you had no protection like that. In December, we stayed in an apple orchard there in Cherbourg, at a place called Apple Orchard. It's in Cherbourg Peninsula. It rained. That mud smelled just like it was rotten because it was so many people had died there through the years. Well, the ground was still contaminated, and we didn't know. We drank the water looked clear at the branches, and we drank that water. A lot of men come down with hepatitis, which I did. I came down with hepatitis when I got back on the side. It took a long time, and we drank that water, and I came down with hepatitis. I had to go to the hospital and stay a long time. But I didn't affect me until I got here. Yeah, we furnished the 7th Army. It's a combat engineer group that was a white group, but we were furnishing them, material. 216 men we had, and they were just anywhere they wanted. That's where they took us. The 7th Army wanted us, they sent for us. The 3rd Army Patton group, and Bradley had the 9th Army. And we served to where they wanted. We couldn't refuse. We done what we were told to do.
Were most of the people in the company truck drivers, or?
We had truck drivers, we had mechanics, we had some of the guys were expert in laying Bailey bridges, and they laid bridges across the Neckar, the Blue Danube, and the Rhine River. We crossed the Rhine River about 3 times, and I never forget this company, black company. Of course, we working along with them. We weren't with them. They were up near the northern port of Germany. That's when the push going towards near. Let's see, going near. Not St. Lo. It's been so long.
Like 40 years and more.
Oh yeah. Anyway, what it was, where it was, it's a big hill on this side and a hill on this side. The German let the Americans build that bridge. It took them 2 days to build that bridge across that Swift River. When they got that bridge built, the tanks went down the center and the trucks and supplies. Troops is on this side and that side walking with their, ready to go into combat. They cut that bridge half in two with an 88. Tanks and everything went down, buttoned up, went down that river.
Good.
No telling how many men went down in that thing.
What was the number of your company again?
3122nd Quartermaster Service.
3122nd.
And recently, me and this Struker, after he got, we used to write one of those about once every 2-3 years. So the other day, this summer, I said, I'll be our call. I called out in Minnesota. His wife answered. I told her I was and said he'd passed 2 years ago. And his son called me just before Christmas and told him that Dad always talked about the experience we had over there. So he was a German, but he was American born. But he could speak German fluently. And I know he saw that, he told me he lived, I think, a place near Mannheim, Germany, where he's born, I believe it was. And this is where we stayed for about 2 weeks.
Must have felt kind of odd for him to be coming home and fighting
Yes,
in an area
of
that,
his own cousin. You don't know. War. I thought about that. He was a person. He was a close person. And during the last phase of the war, the Germans, they wouldn't surrender to the whites. They tried their best to get the black coming because those paratroopers would kill them. They wouldn't take no prisoner. They shoot them when they were surrendering. They just shoot them anyhow. And they came to us, and we took them prisoner. So they carried about 4. He was a lieutenant. They were all officers. One was an officer and an enlisted man. And they went in the tent, and they were talking in there in German. And to my officer, another guy said, "Well, what he's talking about?" He said, "Well, he could be talking about us because they can't do us no how they got no arms or anything like that." But it's kind of sad. I think he's asking about certain people, something like he knew, but I don't know. Then after he stayed there, then they had a great big compound down in where Hitler kept his prisoners. That's where they kept the German prisoners of war. It was dug out like that, and they had those guards where you see in the movie. That's the way it was, and that's where they put the prisoner of war.
you said you spent some time in the hospital with the hepatitis? Or is that after you got back to the States?
After I got back, I was lucky. I didn't.
Uh-huh.
When I was overseas, I got frostbitten, but I went to a field hospital and had my feet treated. But I never was. And I went back to duty. I was young and tough then. I didn't bother me then, but when I got back on this side, that's when I had problems with. I started drinking, and that wasn't good. That liver condition.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that'll hurt
that's
you.
what happened. I tell you, it's a good experience, you know.
How long were you over in Europe? When did you come back to the
We
States?
came back in '45. We stayed over there, see, from '43 to '45. I think it's almost. I say we're just about a little over 2 years,
Hmm.
and came back. The sad part of it, when we left Luneville, France, this is the place where we came back to get ready, be processed to come back overseas, and we had this officer came and said, "Now, all your men made it through. Said you got a lot of benefits. You got GI Bill, and you're gonna get your education. You get your college education, and get paid while you go to school." That sounded good to me, so I said, "Yeah." So I came back. So I went to Morristown College, and
GI Bill.
GI Bill, and I finished Morristown College, and I put in for a GI loan to build me a house. I met my wife, and I didn't, after I finished school, finished 2 year college, I said, well, I met her, I fell in love, I got married, and I thought I'd go back to school. I didn't go back. So I put in for GI loan. So this officer here, he's a lawyer, he's going to be able to take care of GI loan. So I went to him. His name was Arthur Fowler. I said, I like to put in for a GI loan. Henley, they don't have no GI loan for colored soldiers. I said, no. I said, I served the United States Army. I said, don't look at me as that. It took from 1950, I got married in 1950. 1950 to I didn't get my GI loan to 1968 when my kids were getting ready to finish high school. And
That's a real struggle.
it was. And you couldn't go to the bank and borrow no money. You couldn't, we couldn't borrow money from the bank until 1964. No. We had to borrow money from a loan company. You know how they rip you off. If you borrow 50, you pay $75 or $100 back. So we went through that. I said, well, I must have been tough to go through all that. I just kept praying. You know, it'd be better days sometime. Then after I got out of Morristown, I went to Oak Ridge. I worked for a hospital. I worked in this man, Mr. Simpson. I first got out of the Army. I started working in the hospital as a janitor. He came to me and said, Homer, how much education you got? I told him, well, I finished high school. He said, you go to GI, you'll be able to go to college. And he made me quit and go back to Morristown, and I got my associate degree. And he said, if you come back, I'll give you a job. And he did. And I got back, and I finished in 2 years. I came back, and he gave me a job working there in the storeroom. I was a storeroom clerk until I went to biology. I worked there. I drove truck, picked up supplies for the hospital. I went to every wholesale house in Knoxville to get hospital supplies. And I went far as Chattanooga to get supplies, you know, like they didn't have here. fill our pharmaceutical company in Chattanooga. I don't think it's not there anymore. I mean, one time we had a baby had meningitis or something. They didn't have the right type of bed for this baby. I had to go all the way to Chattanooga to get that bed and bring it back. I left that morning early, so I got back, and it's incubator. It's incubator. That's what it was. So that's what I did. And the guy had the job before I had it. He's a white guy, and they paid him $75 a week. That's 1948, 48, 49. When I took the job, they gave me $50 a week. And he listed me as assistant storeroom keeper, and only one person back there. I said, Mr. Simpson, I want to ask you, when you have an assistant, do you have to have somebody over you? Yeah, why? You got me classified as assistant storeroom keeper, and if I was to just say a storeroom keeper, I'd get more money. He never changed that. He sure would. No. And after I stayed there 7 years, he gave me $5 a week raise. Well, I went down, and it's a doctor at the plant came in the hospital. He's over and worked in biology, and he was in there, and I delivered supplies on the floor, and he saw me. He said, so I carried the paper in there, the newspaper to him. He said, how you doing? I said, fine. How you doing, Doc? I feel better. He had operated. Said, what kind of work do you do? I told him. He said, why don't you come and get you, how much education? I told him how much education I had. He said, why don't you put the application for the plant? I said, I tried, but I can't get in. He said, you put that in, and sure enough, he did. And my brother worked in biology down there, so he got me too. So I put my application in. So only way I got off my job, I had to sit down on my lunch break. I told the man at the person, I said, I'd like to go down for an interview, but I go on my lunch break, he'll let me off. So I went down on my lunch period, did the interview, and I came back. So about a month later, the FBI came and interviewed him, me, after they had Homer Henley worked for him. Yeah. Then I was back in the storeroom. He said, "This man out to see it." Went back there. He said, "Homer, you tell me you quit and leaving me?" I said, "Well," I said, "I asked for a raise. You said you couldn't give me a raise, so I got better my condition. I'm married man now." Then he raised and said, "You got to work out 2 weeks." No, I said, "I know that." Oh, he was mad. So he told him, said, "Well, if he gets the job, it'd be at least 6 weeks, something like that." Sure, enough, about 6 weeks. That's the hardest 6 weeks I worked in my life. He tried to make it so hard on me. Then I trained another guy. As I trained another guy, then got near the time. He said, Homer said, one thing, he's a Catholic. We have some real hard curse fights and all like that. 4 days ago, he come back, he shake hand, apologize with it. I give him credit. He raised sand, he cursed every breath, and go to mass every morning. So it's just his way. He didn't have any children, he and his wife, and I liked him. After all that, but I just overlooked it. Then I got ready to go down to biology. I worked down biology about a year. So one Christmas I was in downtown. I saw him. He run, shook my hand. That's how I get home. I feel just fine. Then up until he died, we were friends. He just didn't want me have no money. That's all. So I worked biology until 1976, and I had an operation on my feet. My circulation from here down, when I got frostbitten.
I was going to say, was it the frostbite?
Frostbite. They got worse, so they took my little toes off. I got no little toes there. They took it off, and after they operated, and Dr. Lincoln, I was off 6 weeks. They operated on both of my feet at the same time. So I went back 26 weeks later, and I didn't pass the test. And he said, Henley, said, you've been here 21 and a half years. He said, what do you think about me give you a medical? Doc, I hate to leave that way. I just 55. I said, I hate to leave. And I've been working with these fellows all these many years. You can't be too hasty saying that because they think you go. They might say, no, I won't give it to you. So I went ahead and I said, okay, I'll think about it. Then Dr. Garrett came in and he said, Henley said, you won't be able to work on that where the steel-toed shoes in them labs over there. He said, you go and find out how much, go to personnel and see how much money you draw, and come back and see what you. So I went to personnel, and the man told me how much money I'd draw. In fact, I'll draw more off than I would on, because disability, they pay you more. So they gave it to me. So I've been gone since 1977, June 1977.
10 years now.
Yeah, that's right.
Better than 10.
So I had a friend. He was there. He didn't go to the Army. He was one of the oldest employees in biology. They started biology in 1946, I believe it was. He was one of the first employees. He worked there 35 or 36 years, and one thing about it, he took care of his money and everything like that, but then after he worked at the plant, he'd go to the country club there in Oak Ridge, and he worked at the bar. He's a bartender. He had 2 sons, and when they were in high school, one of them gave a lot of trouble. So he finally finished high school, so they went to Atlanta. And last time we talked, they were both doing good in Atlanta. His wife died with cancer. Then the boys went to Atlanta after they got out of high school, and they're still there. So he retired about 7 years ago. He retired like in August, let's say. In 2 years' time, it'd be a year next month, he died. I went to see him over there, and he said, Homer, you got to ride more. If they said, when I retire, I'm not going to do a thing. Just take it easy. He's slowly riding more. So I hire people to cut my grass. One thing, he drank heavy. His stomach got that big. He laid on that couch. I said, nigga, you ought to get out of here and get active. I worked all my life. I'm not going to do nothing. He did. 2 years' time, they carried him to the hospital. They cut him open. Gone. Liver ate up. Cancer. So they buried him. Another guy I worked with during this period. Philip was still working. He was 57, I believe it was. He tried to make it to 62, and he couldn't make it no how. He didn't make it. He died. It was like he had cancer. Then after he died, say it was in July. His wife left the funeral and went home, went to the hospital, and she died at the hospital. A shot. And most everybody worked in that lab there, black and white. When everyone that died, they had cancer or leukemia, which it's a strange thing.
Maybe coincidence or maybe something else.
It's something else. Dr. Carson was one of the head men out there, and he died about 3 years ago. He used to be a nice, tall, handsome man. He wore his hair When he first came out, he came out from University of California, Berkeley. He had cool black hair and he had curl like that, you know.
Uh-huh.
And Doc Carson came there and everybody liked him. He was such a nice person. Doc Carson got sick. He didn't last no time.
Hmm.
He died, and when he got so bad, he didn't want nobody to come see him. He looked so bad, you know, like the same person.
Did you keep in touch at all with any of the guys you were in the company with?
Only one. And the rest of them, I don't know. After we left, this company I went overseas with was just a new company. But the old company I trained with, most of them got wiped out in the Pacific.
Hmm.
They went over there on the first company next to us. They had more experience than we had, so they shipped them out. It was in December 1941, about 2 weeks after Pearl Harbor. And their ship went down before they got to over there. It sunk that ship. This other company, and the company and service company there in Spartanburg, Camp Croft. I left there, and they shipped out, but I never heard nothing about them. I think they all got what they said. They most got wiped out.
What was the number on that? Do you remember the number of that company? Or?
That was there's one. This is what's called the Station Complement, and the Quartermaster.
Mm-hmm.
We had two companies, one service company and Station Complement. Sometimes they called it Quartermaster, or we were service for the whole area. And my first sergeant, he's in Washington D.C. He retired. He's still in Washington D.C. He works in the Pentagon after he retired. And I called him about 2 years ago, and he runs a concession stand in the Pentagon as a civilian now.
Mm-hmm.
He's retired from there, and he's doing that now. He was self-educated. He went in the Army when he was finished 8th grade. So every school they had in there. He went to typing school. He went to machine gun school. In that school they had, he went and got certificates for, certified.
Mm-hmm.
He's a self-made man, and he was smart. The rest of the guys, I don't know what happened to them. And we were left, we don't have no communication at all.
Is there anything that particularly sticks out in your mind from your time in Europe that?
Yes, I remember. I never forget. We landed on Omaha Beach that night. We got there about 1600, and I saw my first casualty. As you walk on the beach, even though it's been a long time, they had a chance to bury the dead. I seen American GIs laying there and then buried. Then they had a compound, that men that cracked up during the attack. They had a young white boy there. They said his hair was plumb black, but when he went through that bumming and strafing and everything, like his hair was plumb white. His mind was gone. Not only him, it's lots of them that way. It's horrible. I seen a lot of suffering. I saw a lot of children. I said, I often think about it. I saw that picture last night. And that's true what they did to those people over there in Europe, in Germany. A woman, a child, didn't have no rights over there. They just didn't like them. If the Russians see them, the Americans see them, they just blow them away. I never forget, we run We was up near Aachen, Germany. We ran up on the Russian soldiers, and they were real friendly. And they had on American uniform, driving American Jeeps, everything. See, that's when that Land Lease was on. And they didn't have the facility we had. They didn't have like soap. They would pay you a big price for a bar of soap, and they ate it. It was good. Lux soap. And candy bar, we had that chocolate candy bar. They pay you good money from there because, you know, they didn't have nothing like that. But the only thing I knew, what they did have, where we had carbine rifles, they had burp guns. Privates had burp guns.
A lot of firepower there.
Yes, they did. We were in this unloading a truck, Beta bridges, for this engineering outfit. A German girl came up the road on a bicycle. This Russian said, no, yeah. That girl, she's a teenage girl, German girl. He said, watch him shoot that crowd. And they said he said his language. He took that gun and shot that girl off that thing.